All right. Well, good evening, all of my visionaries. You have definitely entered into an amazing night on today, or it might be day, or it might be morning, wherever it is that you are in the world. We definitely want to welcome you to the Visionary Book Club Review. This is our call as well as video, and you're dialing in right now, or you might be watching us on the video on our YouTube channel or live. But we definitely want to welcome you guys. You know, I had a vision to start this. Oh, well, furthermore, let me just introduce myself. My name is Taria Vision Avant, and I had a vision to actually start this book club years ago. And at the beginning of the year, I made a decision that I would follow the vision. You know, it definitely takes having a sight to move forward into something, into what I believe is going to be directly impacting the lives of over 10 million men and women in mind, body, and soul. And this is just one piece of the pie. And so I'm excited about that, and definitely want to welcome each and every one of you on. As you know, right now we're live on the phone, so I'm on our conference call, as well as at the same time I'm on video. So if you want to actually tune into the video, you can actually go to visionarybookclub.club. Or visionarybookclub.com, and what I did was I actually included the link. If you're following me on social media, I'm going to post the link as well, and what I'll do is also make it so that in the future you guys will be able to easily find out how to get to us. But definitely, I say we have people that are actually dialing in on the video, and so I'm excited to have you guys, and I know we'll have more people as the time goes by. And I definitely want to thank those individuals who actually took the time to just come up to me over the past events that I may have been at, traveling all over the country, and just telling me how impactful actually being able to see the video, the layout of the Visionary Book Club, how it helped them to be able to learn this book even more. And so I'm excited about that. So I'm typing right now, watch us live on visionarybookclub.club. Okay, so you'll be able to see in the message field there. And then, of course, on our Facebook community, I'm going to be posting it there. Now, hopefully those of you guys have been paying attention that we actually are doing a little bit of changes to the Facebook page. And so instead of going to the facebook.com/groups official Visionary Book Club, we're going to now do it to where you can just go to facebook.com/official Visionary Book Club. And the reason is because I just want to create an easier link. This is a fan page more so all you have to do is click like, and when you like the page, it now makes you a part of the group, and then you're able to comment and do things of that nature. You're able to see the events that we post and comment on the events and things like that. It works just like the same, but it also helps out in regards to the visionarybookclub.com page. And so let me kind of show you guys what that looks like for those individuals who are watching us live. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. If you're listening in, I'll just kind of go over what it is that everybody is seeing. But when you go to the Visionary Book Club Facebook page, this is what it looks like. And so it just says facebook.com/official Visionary Book Club. And so as you can see, it's just a little different, but it's an easier link. All you have to do is like the page, and that actually allows you to get notified. Then you definitely want to make sure that you're getting notifications. You want to check that as well, and then you can also add it to your favorites. On top of that, so you don't miss any valuable information, you can invite other people to like the page as well, and that's going to be really good. We're going to start doing some great promotions for that. But then if you go to the Facebook the Google group, visionarybookclub.club, that is still an active link, so it keeps on. Hold on. Going to the wrong link, but well, here it is right here, Visionary Book Club. Let me click off of that and create another page. Oh, you know why? Because that's our old thing. That's the bookclub.club. So let's go to the right page. So the old Google Groups was visionarybookclub.com. So if you go to that, though, it'll take you to this right here. But what we're going to start doing very soon, you're going to start seeing where when you go to visionarybookclub.com, it'll take you to the old capture page. So we're bringing that back so you can actually put your email address in. invite other people, and things of that nature. So we actually have somebody who followed those instructions on today. And anyway, so let's get started. I'm going to go ahead and go back to sharing my face so you guys can see me. As you know, guys, oh, let me fix my hair. All right. As you guys know, we are actually right now reviewing The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And I tell you, this book is amazing. I read it, in fact, over 3 years ago. But where I was at in my personal development versus where I am today, it's a totally different book. In fact, I didn't even really understand it when I was reading it 3 years ago. But today now it has definitely been effective. It's really helping me to understand how to become a better leader with my organizations. And so I'm excited. You know, we're reviewing habit number 4. We've already gone through the first 3 habits, which definitely deal with working on the inside. Okay, the inside out, and now we're going into working with others and being able to become what you might call, you know, a very powerful leader in the field of just being an entrepreneur. And so today, habit number 4 is think, win, win. Think, win, win. And I've got a PowerPoint presentation that I definitely am looking forward to showing to you guys. But also, I want to encourage everybody. I know we had a couple people that actually raised their hands to be a part of their video presentation. So I don't know if you guys are on right now, but please check your emails. I sent you a link, also sent you an invite, another invite. If you're on the previous video, I don't think that was right, so check your invites again in case, if we can probably pull you up towards the end so that you can participate in the question and answer session. And of course, you will definitely get something special from yours truly for actually participating. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this PowerPoint presentation. Again, we're talking about think, win, win. And these are the review questions that we're going to be discussing later on. And if you're not able to actually answer the questions, if you actually comment where the questions are posted on either of the social groups, whether it's the Google Plus group or on the Facebook group, if you actually put your answers below, you'll be entered in to win for next week's prize. And so, so you want to make sure that you actually comment below where the post is. And what I'm going to do, because we actually had some people who did respond from last week's, so we'll have 2 drawings. We'll have 2 winners from those individuals who actually responded from last week, as well as those individuals who respond this week. So even if you're not able to necessarily participate physically while doing the review call, you can still participate and hold yourself accountable, which is actually, very beneficial. One thing about, growth, guys, is it's a difference of just reading or listening and then actually taking the information and applying it and putting it to paper. And so I think it's absolutely important, guys, that we want to do that. Everybody listening in, everybody that's watching the follow-up or listening to the follow-up calls on SoundCloud, wherever it is that you're paying attention to what we're doing, you want to make sure you hold yourself accountable and actually do the activities, do the exercises. That's why you're here, so that you can grow. You can grow in your business and you can grow in your personal life. So the review questions are, number 1, can you describe any past situations in business where you dealt with one of the 6 paradigms of this chapter? Okay? Excuse me. And then number 2 is, what have you learned most from this particular habit? So I'm definitely looking forward to the answers. Guys, go ahead and do that. Post those answers, even if you can do it tonight, even if you can do it while we're on the call, because I'm going to definitely search to see if anybody has done it, by the time we finish with this review. Now, remember, guys, win-win, it's not a personal technique. In fact, one of the things that I'm noticing with Dr. Covey that he doesn't like to, focus necessarily on is technique or methods, shall we say. He likes to focus on basically, the setup, shall we say, not step-by-step instructions, but more so the method at where you're going to actually get this done, okay? And so it's a total viewpoint of human interaction, okay? And so when we think of win-win, it's not necessarily, a step-by-step, but it's just who we are, how we interact, and what we think, which really then pushes us to act a certain type of way. It's one of 6 paradigms of human interaction, okay? So we said that your stand on this habit is based upon your level of integrity, maturity, and abundance mentality. Things that are important to you determine your desire to act upon this paradigm. Now, there are 6 paradigms of human interaction, and the first is win-win, okay? Then we have win-lose, lose-win, lose-lose, win, and then the best of all 6 is win-win or no deal, okay? Now, what I did was create like a little chart so that we can kind of get an idea of what all of them mean. And, you can even try to see where you might fit in. Now, this is the thing, okay? At the end of the day, guys, in order for us to grow, what we have to be able to do is truly be honest with ourselves with where we are. And it's okay if we're not, based upon what we see from this, if we're not necessarily where we need to be, but we now are able to identify it and move towards where we should be. So the win-win paradigm, okay, that's where I win and the other person wins. That's basically when it's not about me winning or the other person winning, but about us both benefiting from whatever it is that we're looking to do. Okay, so that's what a win-win person is. They want everybody to win out this situation. Okay, then you have a win-lose where I win and the other person actually loses. And I will tell you this: people that are win-lose mindseted, they prey on those individuals who are lose-win mindseted, right? I don't even know if you can say mindseted, but are lose-win. The reason is because their objective is to always be number one. Not even necessarily to always win, but they want to be number one. So in order for them to win, somebody must lose. A lot of leaders fall into this category. A lot of people that hit the top levels of businesses, they may fall into this category. Does that make you a bad person? No, because when you think about it as a child, this is actually the paradigm that we were taught at a very young age. Win-lose. We're taught that we've got to, get good grades in school. We got to get an A instead of an F. And the A determines that we're a good student, and F determines we're bad. We're taught, games where we've got to come first place. We're taught athletics where it's where you're the best when you're winning. You're number one. And so, I'm number one. I even look at my company. Sometimes that when we see some people say we're number one, that's a win-lose paradigm. But see, what I love so much about, if you get connected to the right company, that it won't ever be about that. It'll be about what we do as a whole. And so that's where we're going to talk more about that. But that's what a win-lose person is, okay? Then you have a lose-win person, right? That's where I lose and you win. And this is someone who will risk, losing to make other people happy. A lot of times these are people pleasers. I was talking to a young lady today about, what her goals were in life. And one of the things she started talking about was going back to college and getting her master's and getting her doctorates, but it wasn't aligned with what it was that she wanted out of life. And when I asked her, basically her degrees, she was doing that for her family. And so she identified that she is a people pleaser. And I asked her, so well, let me ask you a question. Are you happy with going back to college? Are you happy with doing those things? She said, no, I'm not happy. But that's what I want to do to take care, so that my family will be happy for me. That's what some people do. They'll live their life, with the lose-win paradigm, okay? And like I said, win-lose people love lose-win people because they can actually prey on them. They can take advantage, of that situation, unfortunately. Then you have lose-lose, right? The lose-lose paradigm where you lose and I lose. And this is where, if you've ever had someone, like, let's say there's somebody that you just don't like. You don't like them with a passion, and you would rather, you to suffer if it will allow them to suffer. For the example that Dr. Covey gave in the book was, for example, like, say you're going through a divorce. I can't remember if it was a specific, but I know that the example, going through a divorce, and the wife won half of everything, but the husband had to sell all the items and give her half of all the profits. And because he despised her so much, he sold a car. I think it was worth maybe $25,000 for $250 or something like that. I don't know if that's the exact amount, but let's just say the car's worth was $25,000. He sold it for $250, and so that they would have to split $125. So in that situation, he actually ended up losing as well, just to spite her. Okay, so there's people like that. There are people where they just don't want this situation to come out good, so they'll even deal with losing so that the other person can lose too. If you think about it, people at your job that might sabotage, you know, a group activity that you guys have to do, or a group task that you guys have to do, just so that that person does not win, right? Then you have some people who have a win mentality. Doesn't care at all about what the other person does. And, you know, when I think about a person with a win mentality, or there might be a situation where you have a win paradigm. So it's not that you are constantly, you know, always having a win mentality. I want you guys to know, or lose-win, or win-lose. It just depends on the situation. And there's some people, you know, the one example that I can think of that comes to mind are parents when it comes to their children. You know, if something was to happen to their kids and, you know, their child comes home crying, they don't care who wins or who loses. All they know is that in this situation, I'm a win. Or an example could be of a person that they don't take any risk unless they know that 100% sure they're going to win. It doesn't matter if the other person loses. It doesn't matter if the other person wins to them. It's just a matter of, will they win? It's just a selfish way of thinking. And I don't mean selfish in a bad way, but it's really just more so about me winning in this situation, okay? And then out of the 6, which I said is the best of them, where, guys, we want to get to this level in everything that we do, is the win-win or no deal. And that basically says that if we both can't win out of this situation, then let's take a step back. And the great example that Dr. Covey used in this particular paradigm was where he had a client where it was a $75,000 job, a bank client, and he was providing software, a new software that this bank, you know, and all the employees was first supposed to be converting over to. And unfortunately, you know, with the president signed an agreement, a contract that they were supposed to use him, you know, for the next, I think, 5 years or so. However, unfortunately, the employees were not really adapting well to this software. They could not work with the software. And so in this situation, if he was to just stick to that, it would have been a win-lose paradigm. That means he won, but the company, they lost because they could not adapt to the software. Well, anyways, the president ended up leaving, and a new president came on board, and the president, you know, reached out and said, hey, you know, my staff is not having a good time with this software. We need to cancel this contract. Now, because the contract stated it didn't matter, you know, they had to go 5 years, he could have still said, no, I'm going to keep this contract because, you know, what's important if I win? But at the end of the day, when you have a win-lose paradigm, eventually that person will end up losing. Because what could have happened is after the 5 years, he would have never been able to land that contract ever again because of that situation. So because of his mindset, his paradigm is win-win or no deal, he made a decision that since they were not able to adapt, I'll take the $75,000 loss, I'll refund them the money, cancel the contract, and just, you know, pray or hope or know, shall we say, not even pray or hope, but know that it's going to return with the major harvest. And in fact, it did. I think he then ended up less than a year later with the contract with that company, the same company, for over, I think it was over $250,000. Why? Well, because he made some emotional bank account deposits into this company, into this president, and we'll talk a little bit about the emotional bank account deposits later on. Even though that's a part of part 3 in the book, and I didn't really lay that out as far as the review, but it works, okay? And so let's keep it moving, guys. Now, I actually like this chart that Dr. Covey wrote or had mapped out in his book, and I think it's a great way to really identify, you know, where it is that you see yourself. And in order to be able to have a win-win paradigm, one of the things that Dr. Covey says is you got to have courage and consideration. You know, you got to be strong enough to fight for what you know that you want, but you also have to be considerate of other people and what might happen to them. And when you think of where you are in your paradigm, this can help you identify, where you fall on this chart. So, for example, if you have a high amount of courage but a low amount of consideration, as you can see on the chart, you probably fall into the win-lose paradigm. That means that you're powerful, you know what you want, you're going to go and get it done, but you know what? You're concerned more so about yourself and not others winning, right? That's win-lose. And then as you can see, if you have a low amount of consideration and a low amount of courage, that puts you at lose-lose. If you have a high amount of consideration, you're always caring and thinking about other people, right? Always thinking about other people, but you're not really, you're not going to go after yours, you're willing to let it go, then that puts you in the lose-win. And then, of course, if you have a high amount of consideration and a high amount of courage, that puts you at win-win. And it takes a lot to be a win-win paradigm type of person. It really does. It's easier to fall into these other brackets, but you know what? That's why you're a part of this book club, right? Now, there are 5 dimensions to the win-win paradigm. Okay, 5 dimensions to it. First is character. Having character, okay, which of course we mentioned includes integrity, maturity, and abundance mentality, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. The next is having relationships, okay. Your relationships are definitely directly proportional to how your paradigm is. Agreements, you want to have specific agreements, and we're going to talk a little bit more about agreements as well. Supportive systems. You want to make sure that based upon what your paradigm is, that your systems also line up. For example, where Dr. Covey talks about, where he had I can't remember if it was a CEO, but I think it was a CEO. He was trying to figure out why he could not get his people to move within his office or something like that. He was running an office and he couldn't get them to move. And he says, I want people to be excited and be, this way and that way. And basically what his paradigm was win-win. However, when going further into what was taking place, Dr. Covey found out that the leader had created a contest that would actually reduce the synergy by increasing competitivity against each other, and it was very difficult to have them to want to work together if they had to compete against each other. So that meant that the system was not aligned with the win-win paradigm. Hopefully that makes sense with you. So the system is that he created this competition. That was the system. The competition was the system for somebody to, to outsell each other, and whoever did would get a trip. However, in his mind, he was trying to figure out, how can I get them to work more together? Well, if you create a competitive, system, it's very difficult for people to want to work together. And then, of course, processes. That's the 5th dimension to the win-win paradigm. Now, character has 3 parts, as we said. Integrity. Okay, integrity first, guys, is staying true to your word. Making agreements and keeping them. And this actually comes from habits 1 and 2. Habits 1, be proactive. Number 2, think with the end in mind, right? And so, guys, we've got to make sure that we're sticking to our word. Integrity is knowing what winning is, and knowing that if we can't make and keep commitments to ourselves as well as others, our commitments become meaningless, okay? Maturity. Maturity involves mutual learning, mutual influence, and mutual benefits. Okay, we must have both courage and consideration to create all 3 of these. Now remember, courage and consideration, you have a high level of courage and a high level of consideration. That's where you're sitting at the win-win paradigm. But you have to have mutual learning, mutual influence, and mutual benefits to be able to have all 3 of those, okay? I mean, to create all 3, you got to have the courage and consideration to create all 3. All right? Maturity is the ability to express one's own feelings and convictions balanced with consideration for the thoughts and feelings of others, okay? The basic task of leadership, guys, is to increase the standard of living and the quality of life of all stakeholders. That's actually something that Dr. Covey wrote, and I thought it was just really, really important that we talk about that because, at a level of maturity, of course, you're now also developing a leadership, And guys, at the end of the day, it's definitely being able to be, courageous enough to go after it, but also being able to consider what all the actions that you may take, how that affects other people. And then the third part to your character is the abundance mentality. And this is basically the paradigm that there's plenty for everyone, that we all can win. There's two different kinds of mentalities that Dr. Covey talks about. And one, he talks about the scarcity mentality. And that's where, people that have this type of mentality, first of all, they have a very, very difficult time. I'm going to bring my screen back on because I want you guys to see for a little while. But they typically have a very, very difficult time accepting other people winning. They might even show it on their face, but deep down inside, it hurts them. The reason is because they believe that if somebody else wins, it actually, it could actually decrease their chances of staying on top. Typically people that have scarcity mentality, they basically always want to be recognized, always have to be recognized as part as one of the leaders. They don't like not to be recognized for doing something. They like to be on the top. They like to be always mentioned. They want to have that assurance that they are going to be there. And they just believe that if this person gets it, then my chances of making it are very slim to none. However, you also have people who have an abundance mentality. And guys, that's what we've got to have. We've got to understand, I'm in the industry of network marketing, okay? And currently right now, I'm sure we've got people from all different types of businesses on. And my belief about this industry of network marketing is that when one person wins in another company, it allows us all to win. Why? Because when we win, everybody wins together. One movie, guys, that where it just had a huge impact with me is the Planet of the Apes movie that just came out with Caesar, and he was talking about how apes together, or apes working together, we're strong, and when we work against each other, we're weak. And I believe that's the same. I believe that when everybody's winning, we all win. We all, you got people winning in your industry, you win, right? Because you're able to utilize that as an example. And guys, I believe that here on this world, that the universe has created so much abundance available to everybody that goes after it. However, this is the thing. We already know this is why there's really no competition on your way to success, because the majority of most people won't even go after it. I found out that in my industry alone, that 70% of most people that actually get started don't ever do anything. The only thing they ever do is give their credit card number and their shipping address. And after that, they quit the business. That's why it's so easy to win when you understand that there's an abundance of wealth for us all. You've got to have an abundant mentality, guys, when you're looking to really, really become an effectively successful person. Just know that everybody can win. It's not about competition here, right? It's about win-win, right? Win-win. And so let's go ahead back to the presentation, guys. Win-win mentality. We got to have that win-win paradigm. We've got to know for sure that everybody can win, okay? Let's see. Relationships. And so now we're going to talk about relationships, which of course is the next part in regards to the win-win paradigm, right? Well, first of all, relationships. The trust emotional bank account is the essence of building strong win-win relationships. And at the beginning of part 3 of the book, that's where Dr. Covey talks about this emotional bank account and making those deposits into your emotional bank account, as well as taking from that emotional bank account. And guys, our level of trust is based upon, or trust of another person is really based upon how many deposits that person has made, excuse me, into our life in our emotional bank account. How many times have they done something for us? Have they listened? Do they listen to us? Do they respect our opinion? Do they allow us to do things? And all types of things. And I'll talk about just some ideas. In fact, I would love to even add that in as another question. What are some things that you can do to deposit into somebody else's emotional bank account? What are some things? How much you deposit will also determine how much you can withdraw. Just like any regular bank account, If you want to withdraw action from somebody, you've got to have invested a lot into their emotional bank account. A lot of times when I look at, why one individual that has an extreme amount of potential, why they might not be going to the next level in regards to their activities that I might even coach them on, I also have to reflect within and see how much did I deposit into their emotional bank account. Do I communicate with them regularly? Do I say great things? Do I allow them to speak if they need to speak? Do I allow them to lead and do different things to show who they are as a leader? And so that is extremely important. When you're building your relationships, you've got to understand how much are you depositing and how much are you withdrawing. Think of someone that because of who they are to you, it doesn't matter what they do, you want to know more. And that's something that, Dr. Covey talked about. When dealing with someone who has a paradigm of win-lose, and you are coming from a win-win relationship, okay, it is extremely important to make emotional deposits, emotional bank account deposits, okay? And what I mean from that, if that person has the mentality that I've got to win, I've got to be number one, but you're coming from the win-win that we both can win, sometimes there might be a lack of trust. A lot of people that have that type of mentality, and I've dealt with it before. I could even name some individuals, that I have met where, I might be coming from the aspect where we can all win together, but because of the way that their paradigm is, because of, maybe past experiences, it's very difficult for them to trust in me that I have the same type of mentality. They probably believe, no, you probably have a win-lose mentality as well. And so when I'm thinking about trying to work with individuals like that, I also have to reflect within, how much have I deposited into them so that they can trust me and know that I have the desire for us all to win. Okay. Also remember, guys, if your emotional bank account is low with that person, you may need to come, to them with an idea, and they may say yes to your face, but not be interested in doing it. You might come to them and they'll say yes, but then turn around and not really want to do it, like cringe, what did it say? Cringe at the idea of doing anything for you, and might even, some ways just do exactly what you tell them to do, but they don't take any initiative. They don't take any responsibility for what it is. And so, when I think about some of the things, just reflecting upon my leadership, and even had people that'll go through the motions but not necessarily take responsibility, again, I've got to look at, how much did I deposit into them? And when I mean take responsibility, I mean like take upon the action as if it was something that they created themselves. Now, ways to deposit, here are some ideas that Dr. Covey talks about, but of course there's other things that you can add to this, and I'm going to encourage you guys, to create a list so that you can add to it. Listening in greater depths, express yourself with greater courage, not be reactive but proactive. Right? Remember, reactive and proactive. Reactive is not, reacting to anything, an incident, but actually doing things in advance so that, you don't have to react because you took care of it before, right? You're not taking blame for situations. You're taking responsibility for situations, things like that. Stay longer in the communication process, and I think this is one of my biggest challenges. Is with this because I'm always moving and running and shaking, but remember, Dr. Covey says that it is so important to plan this type of activity. This is the one activity where we do less of, in building relationships and communicating and setting plans, but really building those communication relationships so that you can create those emotional bank account deposits so that you can build trust with people. You want to show appreciation for people, let people know how much you appreciate them. And you got to keep at it, guys. You got to keep at it. It's not a one-time deal. Sometimes people say, well, I sat down with that person, we did lunch, one time, and man, they're not, I can't get them to come out to an event. Well, because you haven't deposited enough. You got to keep on depositing. You got to keep on depositing so that person knows genuinely that you care, right? Okay, now the next part, guys, is agreements. Agreements come when relationships are formed, right? So you've built a relationship. Now you guys can come into an agreement. Whatever it is that you guys are looking to do, Now you've come into agreement because you have a relationship. Think about it. You know, when I talk about the industry of network marketing or home-based business, the industry of real estate, the industry of insurance, the industry of anything where you're selling a service and or a product, guys, first of all, the relationship is built and then the agreement is made. So let me kind of give you an example of what I'm talking about. Okay, for example, my hairstylist, right? My hairstylist, I was able to, you know, build a relationship with this young lady. Met her years ago, and through that relationship, of course, you know, it was a short term. Of course, I didn't, you know, I met her and then was able to build a relationship. I made an agreement that I would get my hair done from her. Now, the win-win is that I get my hair done from one of the best stylists, I believe, in Atlanta, and her win is that she's getting, you know, paid for her services. But of course, that was the agreement that was made. She would do my hair, I would pay her. But of course, but it had to start from some kind of relationship that was built prior to. And then of course, because of the great things that she's doing, every time I get my hair done, it's always looking good, or you know, my hair is growing, it's healthier. She's giving me better advice as what I need to do for my hair. She's communicating, maybe sending me discounts, giving me referral discounts and things of that nature. She's depositing into my emotional bank account by doing those things for me, which will allow us that agreement to continue to keep going, and I'm going to still stay giving her my business. Okay, performance agreements or partnership agreements. He talks about these two different types, and there is a creation of an effective way to clarify and manage expectations between people involved in any interdependent endeavor. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit deeper into these agreements, okay? Because there's actually 5 elements for win-win agreements to happen. 5 elements, okay? The first is desired results, not methods. So remember again, and I kind of messed it up. I said at the beginning it was methods, but no, it's the results that Dr. Covey wants to focus on, not how to do it, okay? Because that's one thing when we go into the different types of you know, leadership or the gopher mentality. Remember, we were talking about being a gopher and just really, you know, giving somebody the specific steps, or being able to help identify with them the things that they, you know, what you want, what you're expecting out of the situation, and let them to come up with what they need to do. There's a big difference, and so that is so important. You know, a lot of times when we're looking at leadership, we think that leadership means that I have to be able to specifically guide this person to the river. However, the problem with that is that if you have to do everything by showing that person everything, that means that you reduce your abilities or your capabilities to be able to work with multiple people. Okay? And so the idea is making sure that people understand what the desired results are, not necessarily methods, that they come up with the methods of how they're going to get to the results. Okay? This is what needs to be done. Okay? Basically what you want in the end, right? The next element are guidelines. Okay? Guidelines are the parameters in which you are to follow for the things to happen. So, you know, some of the guidelines for your job, right? Your job may be, hey, you got to be here between 9 and 5, 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. In my company, some of our guidelines are the 4 steps, right? The 4 steps. And I think a lot of time what we do as leaders, because we want people to really understand it, because we come from a society or come from a background where a lot of things were given to us step by step, we try to create the same environment for people, which actually ends up hurting them, because now they're not able to build that leadership quality of being able to think for themselves, because we've given them so much to the T. And so that's something that even as a leader I have had to evaluate and step back from really giving everybody every single thing. For example, I'll give you guys an example. I had a leader today that sent me a text message asking me about a country doing business there, and wanted me to give them the number of who they would need to call to talk to somebody in regards to getting started in that country. And so instead of, you know, going and getting the number for them, basically I understood what the desired result was to be able to get the number, and so I told them exactly what they needed to do to get it done, okay? Not step by step, but I told them, hey, go to the site and I'm sure you'll find it there. But I didn't say, hey, here's the link, Or I didn't say, well, here's where you need to go step by step. I told them that the desired result was for them to go to the site. How they did it, that was based upon what they did. And so that was that was basically the idea of where they needed to go. Okay? And so that is absolutely important, guys, but you want to identify what the parameters are. 4 steps, 10 steps, whatever it is that you might have, 12 core commitments. That's something we talk about all the time, or whatever the guidelines are. Now, the next element for the win-win agreement, when you create the agreement. Now, this is once you've created an agreement for whatever it is, whoever it is you're working with, whatever, these are the elements. The third element are the resources. Now, the resources are anything that you need to make this agreement happen, from money, people, technology, maybe you need some equipment. What are the resources? For example, the resources that we need to make this agreement happen with my stylist, it include, the shampoo and conditioner, her curling irons, chairs and things of that nature, as well as my resource is the money, right? Okay, she needs a location. Those are the resources. Number 4 is accountability. What's expected? I expect to pay quality, to pay for quality service and receive quality service, right? And so you want to know what's expected in this agreement. And guys, I think if we do this up front, it's absolutely important. Let me kind of give you another idea how we can take this out of business. One of the things when dealing with a significant other that I think a lot of times people don't do, when you first meet a person, we don't go over these type of elements. What is expected out of this? Okay, in the mind, what are you expecting from this relationship? And I think, if you do that in advance, it makes things happen so much more easier, right? And finally, is the 5th element is consequences. Okay, consequences, including financial, psychic, opportunity, and responsibility. Okay, and those are 4 different things. All right, financial, money, whether, the consequences, let's say it's a business that results in the money's made, maybe an agreement with a stock, a stocks and bonds and stuff like that, right? Psychic is, recognition, some of the consequences of doing this activity. Okay, I don't know who that was, but hopefully everybody can still hear me. Okay, awesome. Yeah, but anyways, psychic. So that's like, okay, let's say you do this, you get recognized. For example, with my company, if you do certain things based on personal effort, you actually get recognized for it. Not even necessarily from what other people, the company will recognize you and give you a title that we actually celebrate you for. And so that's some of the things that people like, those consequences. In fact, in many occasions, recognition, which is the psychic, right? Recognition is bigger to some people than financial, I guess you could say, what's the word? I can't think of the word. But financial consequences, right? The recognition is bigger to some people than the money. It is. Opportunity. Maybe the idea is opportunity. We got this big training that comes up, and you got to qualify to come to the training. So you have to do certain things. You got to come into agreement and do those activities. Opportunity, and then responsibility. You can increase at your job. You do certain things. You do this. They gave the example of the college graduates going through training and doing what they needed to do to be able to get this specific title. And so those are the consequences. And you want to know what that is. Okay? If trust is there, and that's a typo, T-H-E-R-E, right? If trust is there and you have your 5 elements outlined, your role will only be to be the source of help and to receive their accountability reports. Now, win-win performance agreements focus on results, not methods. Okay? Again, Dr. Covey talks about this multiple times. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but he always talks about talking about the results and not necessarily the methods. This allows you to build PC, production capability, and not just production. So this allows that person to grow. For example, the goose that produces the golden egg. The golden egg is the productivity, the production, right? The production. productivity capability is the goose. Well, if we allow that goose to be able to do what it needs to do, it's going to increase in its productivity capability, and the production, of course, we win in both of that situation. This helps in creating extreme independence in your groups. We're going to talk a little bit about system and structure as well. Okay, system and structure. Now remember what I was saying in regards to the system. The system must align, the structure must align with what the paradigm is. Win-win can only survive in an organization when the system supports it, okay? So often the problem is the system and not in the people. A lot of times, you know, a lot of leaders will blame the people, but it's not the people, it's the system. If you put good people in a bad system, it does not matter how good they are, you will always get bad results. You want to identify systems that will focus on self-selected performance recognition, okay? Maybe you can, you know, one time I did a contest with my group where I said, hey, I want to set a goal for everybody to go out there and actually talk to 2 people a day. 2 people a day. Just talk to them, meet them, get their name and number. Don't try to talk about business. Don't do anything. Just get to know them. And that right there created such an environment where any and everybody could do it. It didn't matter, you know, who was number 1. It didn't matter who won. The goal was just 2 to 5 people per day. And because everybody did it, we had a lot of people get recognized, and that really created an amazing amount of synergy with the organization. So you want to find things that can allow individuals to do just that, okay? You also want to make sure, guys, that cooperation in the workplace, understanding that cooperation in the workplace is just as important than competition in the marketplace. You want your groups to cooperate, and so with that, you don't want to create an environment where it's all competition. Create an environment where everybody can win. Okay, create an environment where everybody gets the opportunity to win based off of their own activities that they can do. Okay, now system and structure. Again, for WinWin to work on all systems, you have to include a training system. You got to have planning system, communication system, budgeting system, information system, and compensation system. All of these systems, they all have to align with what your paradigm is, okay? So with compensation, if you want it to be win-win, you got to make it so that it's set up that everybody can be able to earn, you know, based upon where they are, of course, and level of achievement, but not necessarily who gets there first or who wins there first, but being able to create an environment where everybody can earn the same amount of money. You know, I'm in a company where we sell a product. Okay, we sell a product, and you know what? The compensation is if this person sells the product and this person sells the product, they both get the same benefits as far as the discounts. And so there's no competition in that, okay? Now, let me go back to the screen so you guys can see the PowerPoint, and I want you to miss this valuable information, okay? Also processes. Processes is what Dr. Covey talks about. Separate from the person from the problem. Separate the person from the problem. Excuse me, guys. You want to see the problem from another point of view. Okay. So there's 4 things that you want to do in the process. You want to separate the person from the problem and see the problem from another point of view. Number 2 is you want to focus on interests, not positions. The key issues and concerns. Number 3, what results would constitute in a fully acceptable solution? Number 4, what could be another option to allow us to get those results? Okay, and excuse the typos, but definitely want to make sure, guys, you're following these processes, these 4 steps to create the win-win paradigm. So again, you want to separate the person from the problem. Typically, in most challenges or problems, it's not the person, it's the system. Okay, so you got to be able to separate the person from the problem and not put blame on that person, but look at what the system is that might be causing that person or persons to do what they're doing. You want to focus on the interests, not the position, right? Okay, what are the challenges? What is going on? Not because of the position, but what are the challenges and what is the interest of what we're looking to accomplish and what results, okay? What do we want? What do we want the results to be? Okay, and then of course, what are the other options that could get us to those results in the processes? Remember, guys, and this is just a recap, remember, win-win is not a technique, but a paradigm of personal interaction. Okay, coming from character of integrity, maturity, and abundance mentality. It grows from our high trust relationships developed from your emotional bank accounts, the deposits that you put in the emotional bank accounts, embodied from agreements that effectively clarify and manage expectations and accomplishments. Supportive systems in all areas are needed, and the process to do so is what leads us to habits 5 and 6. So guys, with all in all said, okay, because I don't want anybody to be lost here, because this is a lot of information. Period in life, in order to have the win-win paradigm or no deal, right? Because that's where we want to get to, not just where win-win, because in some situations you might not win, right? Or how do we determine when we should have this certain kind of paradigm? Because if you think about football, for example, and football is coming up, NFL season's coming up, and somebody's got to win, right? Somebody has to win out this situation. But see, what I like to do is you got to identify how can the person that maybe didn't win the game, how can they still have won from that situation? And if there's not an opportunity for people to really see how the win-win can actually help us all, then we don't do a deal. And that can be some of the most difficult things to do, but when you outline it up front, it makes it easier for you to be able to lead and build whatever that is, that relationship, that business. Now, he also talks about, making sure that if you've already set an agreement with somebody, let's say you've already, started a business or you already started working with someone and you never identified the no deal, then that's a situation where it's very difficult to actually go back and say, well, if it doesn't work out, let's not do it, because that can actually cause a little bit more challenges on top of that. And so you want to do that up front, okay? You want to work on start doing those things up front when it comes to the win-win paradigm. So hopefully, guys, I really hope that this helped. But let's go back to the questions again, just in case. And I know we weren't able to get our reviewers on today's call, but that's fine. But the questions are: can you describe any past situations in business where you dealt with one of the 6 paradigms of this chapter? And I want you to, just write it out if you want to. Whatever it was, win-win, win-lose, lose-win, lose-lose, win or win-win or no deal. Okay, I want you to go over those. And what have you learned most from this habit? And guys, if I was to answer number 2, what have I learned most? What I've truly learned most about this habit is that it truly takes you guys to be able to hit a level of maturity. You want to have that courage. Okay, you want to be strong enough to know what it is that you want, but also being able to consider how other people will win in this situation. And if you come into a point of understanding that, yes, I want everybody to win, and if we can't win, let's step back. And that can take a lot. It can take a lot of courage to say, you know what, let me just step back from this situation, and maybe down the line we'll be able to reconnect and find a way so that we both can win. Well, guys, that's what I've learned most about it. And so I'm evaluating a lot of things that I'm doing, whether it be relationships, whether it be business-ships, and seeing how I can create that type of environment so that we can all win. Well, I definitely want to congratulate, and that's only if you are on tonight's call, Mr. Seymour Dan. You got to be on the call tonight. You can't go back to listen to a review, or you got to be on the webinar or watching us live. You've actually won. You're this week's winner. Make sure that you email me at winner@visionarybookclub. You want to email me your mailing address so that I can actually send you out your gift. But now you have to have been on tonight, so that means you need to mail me your mailing address by 12 a.m. So that gives you 2 hours, 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time from now's time, so that you can actually get your gift in the mail. So congratulations, Mr. Seymour Dan. I'm excited for you, and I'm excited for everybody that's a part of this club, guys. We're going to continue to keep on doing more of these reviews. I really hope that this was effective, okay? And so I'm looking forward to your comments. The YouTube video will be available very soon, so you can leave your comments below of what you thought about this review. If there's anything else you would like to see more of, please let me know. Also, make sure, okay, very soon you're gonna want to go to visionarybookclub.com. It should be active now, but let me just double check. Visionarybookclub.com, and it might just be because of my cookies of what it has saved. So I want you guys to see One second. I'm gonna share my screen one more time because I definitely want you guys to see. Because if you go to the new visionarybookclub.com, it should pull up the capture page. So if you haven't already joined on the capture page, you can do so. Here we go. We'll pull that up. You can do so, and you can actually be entered into WIN, and it gives you, it's a 3-step. Okay, well, oh no, I gotta fix it. So I'll fix it, and I'll have it ready for you guys later on tonight. But you'll be able to go there and actually join the email blast. But still, you want to make sure that you go to the social groups so that you can get all the questions for the calls, that you can stay up to date, that you can leave your comments. Remember, that person that actually posts their answers to the questions, the 2 questions, as well as if you want to add what are some additional ways that you can deposit into somebody's emotional bank account. You don't have to do that. That's optional. But the first 2, you comment either here, you can comment in the Google group, or you can comment in the Facebook group, or even the SoundCloud. If you want to comment on the SoundClouds, you can do it there too, because we're going to be able to play this back on SoundCloud. You can download my app as well. Make sure you download my app on any of your phones. You just go to your store and type in Taria Avant. You can look at, actually review the Visionary Book Club calls on SoundCloud from your phone or your iPad or any device like that. But you can comment at any one of those 4 locations, and I'll pick a winner for next week so that you can actually win a gift from me. Guys, it is Taria Vision Avant, and we just reviewed habit number 4, think WinWin of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It has been a pleasure and a privilege to present to you on tonight. I'm looking forward to seeing each and every one of you next Wednesday. Have an amazing, amazing night. We're going to be reviewing habit number 5. So go ahead and start reading. Get yourself prepared. Guys, we've got some great things in store. Good night, good day, good morning, and God bless. Bye-bye.